Have you heard of the new addition to the Go for Donnie podcast? I haven't either, but it's called Switch to Channel 2. That is where Donnie will get to ask his guests some questions, so you, the listener, get to know them better. And remember, hashtag HTFU.
All right, guys, welcome back to Switch to Channel 2. I'm here with Adam Wilkenfeld. Adam, thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Donnie.
Guys, hey, Adam. So Switch to Channel 2 is a little thing that I came up with because on set, when you had some chatter, you'd always have to reach back and switch to Channel 2. You guys would have your chatter. Everyone would listen in on set. And then you'd switch back to your respected channel and you'd go about your day. So Switch to Channel 2 is just a little fun show where we get to know my guests a little better. So Adam, please just let us know who you are and where you came from.
Well, that's a pretty broad question. Let's see. How far back shall I
go? Producing wise, like how
yeah,
where you got your start, to where you are now.
Yeah. So I wanted to be in journalism. So I went to Syracuse University. That's a great journalism school. First job out of college, CNN. I still, there you go. First job out of college. It was a dream come true for me to work there. As I told you I was running up the escalator every day.
So
I was
cool.
So excited to be there. And then I wanted to be in the field more. I was only in the field a little bit. I wanted to be in the field all the time. That was the dream. And at CNN, you could work your way up there over 20 years. And there was just so many people who wanted that role that it would just take that much time. It would be a dream job, but it would just take that much time. And I was impatient. So
not a lot of people would leave. So there's retention. So not a lot of people would leave. So you would not get that gig, right?
Yeah.
Or not a lot of people would get in there? Wow.
There wasn't a lot of rotation. At least not intentionally. This was back in the late 90s, early 2000s when the news industry, AOL, what a joke, right? AOL bought Time Warner. Remember that? AOL owned
that's
CNN.
right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So there were massive layoffs at that time, but that was when I was at CNN, or was that right after? I think it was, I can't remember the timing of it at all. But there were several rounds of layoffs, and there was a big round that came right after I left. And the market in Atlanta got, because CNN is there, got swamped with unemployed journalists. And I was lucky because I had just left and found my dream job as a field producer. And so then I was out, interviewing people, telling stories, meeting people, seeing things for myself, hearing things for myself. It was a dream. During those 5 years or so that I was kicking out 2 enterprise packages packages as a news story every week, I counted it up one time, more than 2,000 people during that.
Wow.
That was before
That
was before I turned 26. I had already interviewed. And
holy shit.
That Malcolm Gladwell book where you talk about the 10,000 hours, you have to get good at something. You need a lot of practice. So I put in my hours early, young, and I was not naturally an outgoing person. I was not naturally a person who was able to talk to anyone, entertain anyone, build instant rapport with anyone. But those are all skills that you had to have and that you got by just repetition. So being able to talk to anyone, you've got it when you interview, as you do now.
Have you ever looked back at your first interview and maybe your last interview to see the progress of how far you've come from that first time, and maybe how nervous you were to how you changed and how maybe it was secondhand by the last time you interviewed someone?
No.
That too. I mean, I just because I go past my past podcasts. I'll look at something and I'll cringe because I've changed format. I look at things and change. I've changed, graphics, all these other things, and the way I shoot. But it's like I do see the progress of where I started to where I am now, where I have a little more attention to detail to certain things that I didn't maybe have at the beginning. So
no, I'm very critical of myself. I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And so the worst part of my job is when you have to listen back to your own interview to pull the bites. And I just skip. I fast forward through I don't want to hear my own voice stumbling over how to phrase a question, or the stuttering like I'm doing right now, or the sound of your voice. You don't even like how you sound. Or the worst is where it's like you missed the follow-up question. I was like, oh my God, why didn't I ask that follow-up question? It seems so obvious in post. This is what would have saved this whole story, made it so much better, is if I had remembered or thought to. And so no, I hate listening to my own interviews.
I do too. I mean, I have to, because I edit all my content, so it's constantly listening to my voice. And I used to, I used to hate it, and I think everyone, not many people other than Morgan, some of these, James Earl Jones type that really love their voices. The voice of CNN. That's right. See,
this
is CNN. Man, so who are the anchors? I mean, during your time there. Maybe that'll give me a gauge, like, of some of the anchors that were there.
I was buddies with Bill Hemmer, who now works at Fox. He's a big guy at Fox now, but back in the day, we were shooting the shit between commercial breaks at CNN.
That's cool, man. Yeah. It's cool to see how it's come. All right, so you did your time in news at CNN, and then from there, where did you bridge the gap from there to your first pitch for your buddy? To bringing you into the other side, to the reality side.
Yeah, so I had this space in the middle where I told you I left CNN and I was doing news stories, enterprise news stories, and that was for syndicated news and documentaries. And my 3 Emmys come from my work in the documentary space. And then
can you name those off so that everyone knows?
Nah,
that's amazing.
They were regional Emmys for documentaries like 20 years ago.
Amazing. Hey, that's great. That's 3 more than anyone or my listeners or myself have. So congrats.
They're in the garage. I don't think about them ever, but it's a nice thing to be able to drop. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. Yeah. But the employer that I had then, they moved me from Atlanta to then San Jose. And then they asked me to move again to Los Angeles. And then they asked me to move back to Atlanta. And once I got to LA, where I am now, I loved it.
You're like, Atlanta?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So I left the company after 7 or 8 years at that time. And that was 2008. So the best time you could think of to start your own business, right? Right after I left, the economy kind of,
a little tank.
Inserts whistling sound effect here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember I got so close, Donnie, to like not being able to pay my bills, like the last $500 in my bank account, close. And then I got my my big idea was that I would take my skills in documentary and apply that in brand, tell brand stories with a documentary lens. And that's really I think that's happening so much now. Back in 2008, I think maybe I was ahead of my time, or maybe I wasn't pitching it well enough, but that was the idea. And I started to do okay. My first job was literally for like $300. It was a small editing job. Then I got a couple of $500 jobs, like 1 or 2 days work. Like I can't even believe it. But yeah, now I like $500 for a project, but I needed the money. And then I got a $10,000 job, and that I started to feel like I was like going to get there. And then, as I was telling you in the previous podcast, I hope everybody followed, so I don't want to repeat too much. But I had a buddy who asked me to help him with a sizzle reel. And I didn't even know what a sizzle reel was. Like, my background was news, documentary, and I was starting to get good at corporate. And I had no interest in reality or in entertainment. It had never been a passion, or I wasn't even a viewer. I wasn't even a fan. And so he asked me to, and I looked it up.
What's a sizzle reel? Is it supposed to be hot?
Yeah. What temperature do I set the stove? And so he brought over this found footage, some DVDs, some links to YouTube, and I learned how to rip these off the internet. And I think I put together what we'd call today, not even a sizzle, we'd call it maybe a taster. but it was enough that he showed it to a producer. Producer was interested, showed that to Discovery. Discovery was interested, and they gave us some money to put together a proper sizzle reel. And they asked me to do that. They liked how it looked. They gave us a show. And then
It's
they
amazing.
said, hey, Adam, do you
So
want to
cool.
work on the show? And I'm like, yeah, I'll work on the show.
You're like, hell yeah. What? Really? Okay.
Hell
Like
yeah.
that doesn't happen. That's amazing. That's so cool.
And it completely transitioned my whole career, brand new chapter. And what I like to tell people who are coming up and like young wannabe entertainment or anywhere in the entertainment space, or really, I think this, you know what, let's back off because it applies, I think, to any genre, anybody, any young person. I would say you don't have to know when you're 18 or 20 or 25 or 49. You don't have to know what you want to do. What you need, there's a world of things that I'm good at, that you're good at, that I'm interested in. There's a lot of things that I could be doing. And which one do you choose? It feels like such a big decision when you're 18. Like, what is my major going to be?
So hard. These poor
Where
kids,
should I be applying for a job? Like, I'm deciding my destiny for the rest of my life. And to some degree, yeah, you'd make a good decision, dude. But on the other hand, there's a lot of things that you could be doing or could be good at and you're interested in. Just pick the one that's in front of you. The low-hanging fruit. Pick the one that's easy. The one that where somebody offered you the job, that's the one to try.
Yeah.
But so when they said, do you want to work on this reality show? I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm building something with the kind of like documentary for brands space, but that's a long thing and maybe it works, but here's something right in front of me. Let me pivot. And
That's
so
so cool.
I've had news, I had documentary, I had brand, I had entertainment. I've done it all. And who knows what my next chapter is going to be. Bum, bum, bum. That's your cue. That's your
Look at
transition.
Showrilly. So I found
Showrilly.
this guy. I found this guy on LinkedIn. Actually, he found me on LinkedIn not even a week or two ago and was like, hey, man, we should know each other. Literally sent me a message on LinkedIn and said, we should know each other. I'm like, man, so I looked him up. I'm like, yeah, we should. And then we talked, and then Adam told me about this new venture he has, Showrilly. That's this amazing project that he's got going on that I'm actually interested in, and I've submitted a couple of projects too. So, Adam, you can tell everyone what Showrilly is really about.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for
So
that
lame.
intro. And
So
like,
lame.
I had so much fun, talking with you that first time when we linked up, and I was like, yes, heck yeah, I want to be on your show.
Wait. Did we link up on LinkedIn? Sorry.
As my daughters would say, dad joke.
Yeah,
It's like the definition of a dad joke is it's a bad joke told by a dad. Yeah. So they used to love my jokes when they were 6, and now, anyway. So I've seen, and you have, right? This gap in the marketplace where everybody's got an idea for an unscripted show. Everybody's watched TV and said, I could do that better than them. Like, if that's on TV, imagine all the ideas in my head. And it's true. People have great ideas. YouTube has proven that. Everybody's got an idea and there's a marketplace for those. But the thing is that if you're in development, especially now when development budgets are slashed and executives are wearing lots of hats, and it takes more at bats to get a run. When I was working in development, it would take me about 25 pitches to get one green light.
Jeez.
And maybe that was a good ratio. Like, you talk about your ratios. Some people have even, I'm not saying that that's probably mid-range. There's some people who do maybe 1 in 10, but there's people who do 1 in 100, right?
Jeez.
And so you have to be an idea hamster, I call it. And it's a lot of pressure and looking at a blank piece of paper and coming up with new ideas that haven't been done before, new worlds to explore, finding new characters. Some people are really good at going on LinkedIn or going on other social media and finding new people, or just going out in the world, finding people at supermarkets, whatever, like going on a drive and to Amish country and see what you turn up. Like, people do that.
Yeah.
But what if you could just be at your computer and let that come to you? Because those ideas are out there. And people want to, if you don't have an agent, a manager, a cousin who works at Netflix, like, what are you going to do with that idea? You're going to cold call, you're going to cold pitch. And I get a lot of those. And I can tell you, like, they're not formatted properly. There's a language, there's a secret handshake in this industry, right? You need to know what a sizzle reel is. I didn't know, but I had to learn. You need to know what a pitch deck should look like. What is a log line? How do I format that? It's not hard. I like to say, like, I could teach an intern how to do 90% of my job. Give me a month with anybody off the street with an interest, and I could teach you 80, 90% of my job in a month. It's that last 10 or 20% that takes years and takes experience and takes a real, maybe intuitive knowledge and skill set. But 80, 90%, right? So, but if you didn't go to film school, or you don't have that cousin that works at Netflix, how are you going to, you just own a hair salon or a taxi driver with a great idea. Where do you do with it? And so Showrilly is a place where you can post your concepts, and producers from really big production companies are on there now, browsing, searching, and setting search alerts, and they love it. It's so easy. It's hard to get on their agenda when you're a random person emailing them.
Yeah, cold call. Yeah, it's hard.
Cold calling. And even if you've got a formatted concept and and you have a name to drop or what have you, like, to get on their agenda is really hard. But when you don't have to worry about that, when it's on their time and they're actually hunting for something, because Netflix just said, hey, do you have a concept in Greenland right now? Like, Greenland's in the news. Do you have and they can just search for that search term or set a search alert. Like, it's a no-brainer for the producers, and it's a no-brainer for the creators, because where else are you going to get 20 producers to look at your concept over a period of a few weeks? That is so easy and so worth it. It's a no-brainer.
And timing, don't you think? I mean, timing is everything as well. Because when I was in development, we had shows come through that wasn't great at the time, but I think probably either did happen maybe a year or so after I left. So it's just timing could be of something that you pitch as well that, like you said, might not be poignant right now because Greenland's not in the news. But when Greenland is in the news, then this project could be at the forefront, since Greenland's top of it.
No, 100%. I get questions from a lot of the creators. Now, we're just starting up. Like, the platform is still free right now. There's only a few producers live right now. I've got about, there's more than a dozen, but from some big production companies. But we're starting to ramp everything up. And I'm like, give me a moment, give me a beat, guys, because I'm getting creators who are like, I've got a few producers who have seen it, but how come I haven't sold my show yet? And it's like, it's only been a couple weeks.
Slow your roll. Yeah.
Slow your roll, because
this isn't a guarantee like it's going to be sold. This is like get in front of more eyes.
That's my guarantee.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the guarantee. The conceit is that you're going to get it seen, and that your idea deserves a shot. I can't promise that every idea is great, and I can't promise that if you only leave it up for a few days or weeks, that your idea is going to be just magically right place at right time. Because it takes a few things. It takes timing of the marketplace. There's cycles in the marketplace. It takes timing of the sort of when a concept is in the zeitgeist. Like 2 months ago, anything to do with Greenland was getting a lot of looks, right? And then it takes also just patience, because not every producer is going to be logging in every day. They might not log in every week. They might only log in, just before their bi-monthly pitch meeting, or they might be on the phone with Netflix, and when Netflix has that question, and that might be the thing is like, oh, let me see if there's any fishing shows right now. They might be looking for something in particular. So they might be hot and heavy on some particular topic, and or on their own concept that they're trying to pitch, and give them a minute to get through that and get back into development mode maybe next month. So yeah, you have some patience.
So this is basically, I love it. It's a market for content creators of content, whatever, to put their content for that said producer or buyers to be able to look through and decide what they're going to buy or not. So it's on them. So it's not like me with a show that's a certain niche. I don't have to go to those said niche broadcasters. Like if my show is good for MTV, I want to be going to History Channel, right? So that takes that all the way to where you're going to one platform and those producers. So that producer for MTV would be coming looking for their content at Showrilly, instead of me, the content creator, having to try to go to that niche producer that's maybe looking for content.
I love that framing. Can we just
I don't know if I said it right, but
can I put a magnifying glass on what you just said?
Yeah.
Because that is something that I think not a lot of creators understand, the framing of what network, who is my buyer?
Yeah.
That is not something that people think, oh, I've got a great idea.
People don't understand that.
You've got a great idea for a male skewing network, but you've got a female cast. Like, think that through. Have you ever watched Bravo with all male cast? Have you ever watched a Discovery Channel show with an all female cast? As one example, right? And I'm not saying that these are not my rules, but it's just the reality of what the buyers are looking for. You know, have you ever seen a show that is just all male? Don't they want to have at least one female voice to bring in some co-viewing? So these are all things that I think that a lot of creators, that's next level, to think about who is my buyer, and let me frame this concept in those terms. And by extension, if I can frame it for more than one buyer, that's even better, right?
Yeah.
And to think about, now that I'm in that niche, what producers am I going to need to link up with that are also in that niche? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And this is a perfect spot for that, where, me, the seller, I'm not having to go to these different networks, and just knowing, like you said, the niche, like being smart about your project and knowing that this isn't, for one channel, it might be for the other, because that channel might be not looking for that content. Because when I was at MTV, we had people that trying to pitch stuff, and you're just like, this is not the demo. Like, why would you even give this to me?
Right. Why are you pitching
a
bunch of 40-year-olds on MTV?
Yeah.
Like, that's not the demo.
Yeah. So knowing that you don't have to do that, where you can just have it on Showrilly, and that niche producer is going to come looking for that type of content. I think that's so wise.
So it's so important then, as you're uploading to Showrilly, to designate your genres, right? You've got a couple of concepts up there. I know you did that. You got to designate what genre your concept is in, because those are the search filters that producers are looking in. So if they're looking for a male skewing show, or they're looking for an adventure show, they're gonna filter, because there's hundreds of concepts up there. You want to make sure that you accurately and I don't want to say generously, but like, use all the filters that you can so that it pops up in as many searches as possible.
That's very cool. I did that. I did just that. So hopefully mine are in the right niche genre for that. But I think it's an amazing concept. When you first told me about it, I mean, that's why I was so excited about it. And then to be able to go through the process, get my login, upload my two concepts, which is exciting. And so now, now it's out of my hands, right? So now it's just up to any said producer that might be looking for that content, that does join Showrilly, and then it's up to them to be able to look at and decide if they want to start a conversation or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a producer will see the concept and they'll click, message this creator, and you two will have your conversation on the platform. And then once you're both comfortable, you can take it off the platform. And I take no ownership. You guys go make a deal. You guys make some money together. And in the end, once it's on TV, my hope is just that you write me a great review and help spread the word. That's something that it's very important for me to know, that the creators understand, like, they own their IP. The platform itself will be sustained. Right now it's totally free, but it will be sustained as we continue to grow, and as I really prove that everybody's getting the clicks that they expect, and everybody's getting seen and getting building this community the way that I know that is going to happen soon. But as that happens, it'll be supported through membership fees. The community will pay for a monthly fee, but the concept will always be yours, and you can put it up, take it down, make deals, and do all that, just leave me a great review.
I will be. I have a question that just popped in my head. What if, how do you sort through concepts that are already proven that might be trying to rip off a concept that's similar? Do they just live there and no producer, reaches out to them?
Like if somebody were to be like, oh, I just invented this new show called Naked and Afraid.
Yeah. Something as simple as that. They get to upload it and they just leave it there, and there's no, not that I'm looking for any repercussions, but how do you weed through that? Is it just up to that said producer to look for the content to decide, I'm not going to, fucking Naked and Afraid has already been done. Like, why am I going to click on that?
There's a great point. I think you're asking amazing questions, because let's put a magnifying glass on that now. This is another really cool learning moment. This is something that a lot of creators don't think about, but it's the first thing that they should be thinking about as they develop a concept. And it's definitely the first thing that a producer is going to be thinking about when they click on a concept. And that is, has this ever been done before? Right?
Yep.
Has it? That's a quick Google search. Like, we're not living in the Stone Ages. If you have an idea about moms who lead their children who compete in dance competitions, like, do that Google search and you're going to find there's a show that was pretty successful called Dance Moms, right? So if you want to pitch another Dance Moms, go ahead, but you better find your extra twist, your extra layer. You better know that it already exists so that a producer won't say, well, how is it different? Or why are you pitching this? And that's just common sense. But there's a lot of people who might have a great idea, but it's just, they weren't the only ones. They weren't the first ones. No,
totally. I do that a lot with things that I'm like, oh, has anyone ever done this before? So I'll go down the rabbit hole. I'm like, okay, they haven't really done the meat and potatoes of the story. So then I'll move forward with it. But if I see someone else has done the concept, I'm like, or if it didn't go anywhere. But yeah,
there's a corollary. There's a corollary to that, right? Because if it hasn't been done before, is there a reason?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to think about that too. It's like, I'm not the only person in the world. I'm going to throw something like, what about doing a reality show? This is one I hear a lot, inside of a strip club. Oh, it's so interesting. It's so sexy. Like, it's like, can you imagine the conversations and the personalities? Right? Well, yes, as a producer, I'm like, that does sound like an interesting show, but what about the music rights? What about the guys and girls in the audience who don't want to be on camera?
Don't want to be there. Yeah.
What about the nudity? There's a lot of what abouts, and that's probably the reason why it hasn't been done. So am I wrong? Has it been done before?
No, not that I know of. I know people have shot in strip. I've shot in one and it's horrible.
You've shot in one and it's horrible because of all those reasons, right?
Yeah. We had to have clearable and just, all the little things, like, stupid. But I feel you, because people will come up with, like, I got a great idea. It's the best idea for a show ever. They tell you, I'm like, well, isn't that like Real Housewives of New Jersey? Except like you're talking about Canton, Ohio. Or like I was saying, I think before is, someone will tell me a great idea for a podcast. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. That's a great idea. Why don't you put it into action? So, which we were talking about, and I wanted to get this out because I talked about, the reason why I like Showrilly so much when I first saw it, because I always say everyone has great ideas. It's just up to that percentage where I found it. It's 0.03 to 6% of ideas actually become successful, or they actually are put into action.
Wait, are we talking about TV shows, or are we
I'm talking about any ideas? Ideas.
Wow.
Yeah, ideas for anything. So
less than 1%.
Yeah, so that just means like, the difference is either you have a great idea and you put it into action, or you don't. And part of doing that is Showrilly and getting it out there in front of producers that might be interested in that project. Multiple producers from different, niches and genres too. So I think that's really cool because, like I said, it's that last step, of actually doing something and putting it into action. And people like us, we have that drive to do it, but that, that housewife that might have that great idea, in little town, Utah somewhere, that doesn't have the means or know how to do it. And, if she knew about Showrilly, God, that'd be a great success
Right.
story.
It's leveling. It really is. You don't need to have that agent, that manager, that cousin at Netflix, because anyone without understanding what a log line is, well, just fill in the prompt. And I give you a definition. It's a sentence that's going to grab the producer's attention right away. So just fill in the blanks, and everybody's concept will be on equal footing. Everybody's concept will look gorgeous, and it will be in a format that producers are used to seeing, used to browsing, and very searchable. So all that stuff is there. And I'm honored to have you there. And it's not just the people with general public. There's so many great ideas. YouTube has proven that, but there are also really cool professionals who know great story, great award-winning on the platform now, DPs, editors, directors, producers, field producers, really, really talented people who know what great stories, know even how to do a sizzle reel, know how to do a pitch deck, but just don't have the network relationships.
Yep.
They can't pitch it on their own. And so they need to link up with a producer, and they need to link up with a producer who somebody that they don't know. They can't just call this friend of theirs up, and this is how you do it. And there's tons of great concepts up from these people as well. So it's taking off and across the board. There's almost 300, and it's growing every day. Almost 300 creators up there now.
It's great. I mean, like I said, even in today's world, there are less avenues to reach out to these execs, because let's be real, TV is changing. It's not linear television. It's not the same. So where do these ideas go? Who buys these ideas? Is it going to be a network TV exec? Is it going to be a cable exec, or is it going to be maybe someone more in the digital, world, a YouTube show? So I mean, I think this helps even more, because that person in Utah, that female in Utah that has this great idea, she doesn't know any execs, let alone any execs that are still around buying content.
Yeah. So I want to tell you, this blows my mind, and I'm so excited for this I haven't talked to anybody about this yet except for my wife. And I literally just had the idea this week based on a Zoom call that I had with a branding executive in London. And I had been thinking about it because branded content is so hot right now because of the changing marketplace, right? You mentioned fast channels, YouTube, obviously networks and streamers, but branded content is really hot right now. And I was thinking about it in the sense of if a creator can come to a producer or to a network with a brand already attached, with money already attached, then that is a really quick rocket launch all the way to the green light meeting, and we'll see what happens after that. But you skip some steps, right? That's huge. If you can come and say, I've got Kellogg's cornflakes, they're going to put their name on it, or have, $50,000 or $150,000 per episode that they're going to contribute. So I was thinking about it in those terms, but my branding exec meeting this week turned it on its head. And now I'm thinking about this really cool new chapter for the platform. Once I get it proven in this kind of milieu that I'm working in now, maybe in about 2 months, I want to start getting brands, a new portal attached to the platform where brands can come in and look for content. Maybe your concept isn't perfect for a network or a streamer or fast channel right now, but maybe it has a cast member who likes to ride motorcycles. There's one I'm thinking of right now on the platform. It's like, he's a chef, great concept. He's a chef, big personality, starting a new kitchen, successful guy, and he's like he commutes on his motorcycle. He's like a big personality. Well, maybe that show never gets picked up. It should. It's a great concept. But maybe it doesn't. The timing isn't right for whatever reason. But maybe Suzuki or Honda Motorcycles or Harley Davidson wants to do a show where motorcycles are somehow just like in the subtext. And this is happening, right? They have their own little studios now. They put it on their social media. They put it on their in their YouTube channel. And it doesn't have to ever get to Netflix and be like sponsored by Harley Davidson. it could just be on there, and they could sponsor the whole thing, because for them, like, sure, they can spend $500,000 and do, 10-minute episodes. No brainer. So anyway, I'm so excited about this new chapter.
I like that.
I haven't built it yet, but that's coming soon. So for a creator, there's going to be a whole new potential client base for you.
I think that's really cool. And the reason why I think that's cool is because one of my projects that I submitted that is very like brand heavy, because it's dated to like the 70s, 80s. So everything in that, excuse me, would be branded, Hostess, I don't know, like you said, Yamaha. It could be anything from Fender guitar, whatever, but it's branded. There's so many brands in there. So I think it's just such a cool idea for brands to be able to find some content like that they could, throw some money towards and have that content run on their channels.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yep. It's coming. I'm really excited for the platform. It's growing like crazy. On an average weekend, I've got 10 new creators joining per day, and producers are so easy, because although that producer that sells all the time to Netflix, I'm talking about like Lionsgate, Range Media, Blink 49, like big production companies, Original Productions. These are all production companies that are right now searching, browsing, and setting search alerts on Showrilly. And people are like, how did you? I sent them an email and said I wanted, booked a 15-minute Zoom. Don't forget, it's their job, right?
Yeah, this is their job to look for content.
The pressures are on them, wearing a lot of hats to find efficiencies. And it might be hard for the average member of the public to get them onto a 15-minute Zoom, but I'm offering access to hundreds of concepts that they can look through, from their car at a traffic light, or sitting on the toilet, or between meetings at their leisure, and they might get an email with a search alert ding, and they don't have to look. They get annoyed sometimes working with people from the general public who might be needy. That's their perception. It's like, this person is going to be very needy. They might accuse me of theft. If I tell them I don't like their idea, they might be mad at me because I don't get it, or they might ask a lot of questions. Why don't you like it? What can I do to improve? Do you know somebody else that I should be talking to about this? And to avoid all of that, for them, it's really cozy for them. It's so cozy for them to be able to go on the platform and just look at their leisure and contact who they want to talk to.
Yeah, it's so wise. It's so wise. I mean, I'm excited to see the progress and to see what happens, even how the platform grows. And I'm happy to share my journey and journal as I go through this, which I'll share with everyone. And I'll let everyone know if there's any progress, when progress is made. So it's so cool. So now that's today. Are you producing anything right now? Doing anything else, or is your really only gig that you got going on right now?
Yeah, I am. And I have a couple of ideas actually that I'm sitting on, because I am just 100% working these kind of like startup hours, every night until midnight or 1. And every morning, I'm up with the kids again at 5, or my wife
Grueling.
Preparing for the day. And then the kids get up at 6. And yeah, it's grueling. It's very satisfying. It can't go on like this forever. It's like, I'm going to just collapse. And also the platform is still free. So I'm like I'm just pushing as hard as I can right now. I thought that initially I was like, hey babe, I think it's going to be like, a month and a half to 3 months. And Donny, it's by the time I hit June, I think is when I'm going to turn on the pricing, is my plan right now. It will have been almost a year. It will have been a year. It would have been a year since I started spending money on developing.
I mean, good on you for keeping at it and like keeping, persistent, because some people would not, they give up. And so good on you for keeping going and having faith. And I'm sure it helped having some ears, some people in your ears telling you things. Cause at least for me early on, I'm like, am I doing this right? What am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing, and then you kind of lose a little faith, but then you'll have one or two guests on that are in the industry and, doing something similar. And when you hear, some good words of encouragement, it kind of like gives you just a little pep, and you're like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. So is that kind of like what you felt like this year? It's like, you're like, I'm just going to power through. And that's today. I mean, imagine what tomorrow's going to bring with this too.
What keeps me going right now is conversations like yours and mine right now, but where you're excited for it. And then when I'm talking to producers and they get it instantly, and you can tell from the tone of their voice. And I love this. It like gives me so much fuel when I can tell from their tone of their voice, dang, I wish I thought of that. Right? Because that's always, if you're in development, like I worked in development for a lot of years, pitching and selling shows. And whenever I hear about somebody else's concept, sometimes it's just like dead simple. But it's like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that?
Like, brilliant. Damn it.
Brilliant. I mean, that's really where that's the bar. The bar for me is like, why, And so when I see that on their face and hear that in their voice, then I know I've got something.
That's satisfying. I love it. All right. Well, geez, excuse me. Let me clear my throat. I'm so excited to see where it goes. I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story and sharing what you're doing with Showrilly down here at the bottom, guys. Showrilly.com. Please go and check it out and submit your project if you have one. You can also connect with myself or with Adam here at LinkedIn. I'll leave our socials at the bottom as well. But man, I'm excited to journal this and to keep progressing through to see where my projects go and to see, what happens with you and how Showrilly grows for you.
You're so much fun. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. And thank you for being the best part of Showrilly.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, hey guys, don't forget, come check out my website, gofordonny.com. You can check out my YouTube channel because this is a video podcast, not only an audio podcast, and that's at Go for Donny on my YouTube channel, where Go for Donny is as well. And this is actually the season 2 of Switch to Channel 2 and Go for Donny. So please check it out. Lots of fun. Buy some merch. Come say hello. And man, we'll be checking in soon, dude. I can't wait to see what happens with Showrilly. So thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Donny.
All right. Take it easy, bud.
Production for Donny.
Go for Donny. Locations for Donny. Go for Donny.
Habitat for Donny.
Go for Donny. Hey Donny, what the hell are they doing?